Sorry, something popped up. What is going on? I don't know why they send us messages when it goes live, but sorry. I was a little distracted for a minute. What is going on? Welcome into the channel. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Sunday Fun Day, whoop whoop, where we are going to tap into our abundance. We're going to be looking at the more positive aspects of the astrology, the tarot, how we can really connect with our abundance, especially in those places that can be hidden, or that it's hard to see because of all the drama, chaos, all the other hubbub that goes on in the day-to-day. So we will be looking at this via the tarot, astrology, any channeled messages that come through. Let's get into it. It's been, well, here we're in Sagittarius season, which is awesome. It is ruled by Jupiter, which is our abundance. Also the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot. So just kind of highlighting that it has really favorable components around it. Sagittarian energy is fire energy, and it makes us want to grow. It makes us want to expand beyond our limitations. Also today, Venus is moving into Sagittarius, and so it's giving us this inspiration that if something or someone, it's just like not vibing with us, etc., that like we're gonna go look elsewhere, right? Like we're in this period where there's a lot of change happening, and in regards to like what we're accepting and what we're not accepting in our life. It's not an easy dance sometimes to navigate because there's a lot of different factors in dynamics, relationships. We don't want things to be true. We wish they weren't. Life is forcing us in a new direction, etc. But if we can be as present and open as possible, that's really going to be where the benefit comes into play. We also have several planets in retrograde. Sorry, my internet's moving a little slow. Saturn did just go direct, I should say, last week, which Saturn forces us to teach our lessons, or learn our lessons. So it's when it's in retrograde, it's kind of an a-hole. This last week was a little tough. There was a lot of water energy, a lot of emotions going on, and hopefully if you tuned into the weekly, it was really just talking about investing in yourself, right? Using it as an opportunity. We can't control everything. We can't dictate how things go, but we can control ourselves and how much we choose to participate with people, situations, etc. So all that to say, hope is on the horizon. This week is a little bit nicer astrologically. I'm seeing some surface tension. We'll get into all of that. I'm going to start off with an energy cleansing just to set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out those places where we might feel blocked or limited, or we do just need to reconnect with ourselves. It's a great time to set your own intention as well, especially if you have something on your heart, on your mind, that you would like Spirit to deliver messages to you around. I'm also open to general questions. I don't want to get into specific readings today. I will do a live where we do that. I think that sounds like a lot of fun. But, I'm totally open if you have a general question or, you want to understand an energy that comes out in the reading a little bit more. Definitely drop comments below. I can see the comments. I can see the comments today. It's a successful day. My voice is a little hoarse. Forgive me. Bear with me. I do offer a variety of healing wellness services, just as a side note. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, or if you are looking for a realignment of self, reconnection with self, your mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. When we are grounded, solid in ourselves, when we're feeling strong and secure, that's really where we manifest our abundance, our success, our happiness. And I would love to help support that for you in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, let's get into this. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so that it may see and understand the messages clearly. Help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit Guides, Guardian Angels, Mama Love, Mama Love. Amen. Smoky today. All right. Lots that needs to be cleared out. And actually, as I was doing the blessing, that's really what I was hearing, and definitely with how the astrology played out last week, but there is this kind of need to purge. So much of the emotions, the tension, the frustration that was coming up was really highlighting places where we need to simplify, where we need to make better, stronger decisions for ourselves. Like, more educated decisions. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Like, we kind of have to get real with ourselves right now, especially because we are dealing with people and situations that are trying to use that emotionality to their advantage, or they're equally pissed off and are fighting back, and like whatever that looks like, right? Jupiter is in retrograde, so Jupiter, like I said, it does govern our abundance. Our overarching energy is magic. So as much as there is like the practical component, there's also the magic of life, right? There's also the synchronicities, the things that align, the things that connect us with right place, right time type abundance. And it's funny because, like, as much as I was sitting here saying, like, okay, like, get real with yourself, I think that's step one of the process. I talk a lot about how awareness is key. If we're not aware of ourselves or of the situation, it makes it really hard to know where to start, right? It makes it hard to know where to start, where we're at, what the next steps are, etc. And I think it keeps us in a space where we disconnect from our potential. It's easier to see like, well, I can't do this, or this can't happen, or I'm never going to get this. It's easier to fall into that mentality when we aren't honest with ourselves, right? Because it does kind of force us to live in a fantasy. That's where some of the emotion is coming into play. And like I was saying, we're moving out of the water. The water is tempering down a little bit this week, especially as that fire energy increases and builds, as we're seeing more planets move into Sagittarius right now. We have the Sun, we have Venus, we have Mars. Mars has not been getting a lot of action though. So the rub, especially when we think about like success or abundance or whatever you're trying to kind of like draw into your life, the downside is we often think or connect with that Mars energy. Well, I got to do this, this, and this to make it happen. And 100%, there is action behind it. But right now, it's being able to sense into those deeper layers of potential, disconnecting from some of these places where the emotions are overwhelming. As I'm saying this, Mars is tensely aspected to Saturn. So Mars can be a little arrogant, like, I don't want to learn that lesson, or I don't want to dig too deep, or I don't want to acknowledge the reality of something. And yeah, I get it, right? That's our ego. It's that surface tension I was talking about earlier, where in reality, our soul knows it's actually going to serve us down the line. Venus is also in opposition to Uranus. Uranus is in retrograde as well. It's in Taurus. It has this stubborn component. It's the extremes. It's either like, I don't want to do anything to change, or I'm going to like explode my life. So depending on, hopefully you're on a side that like honors you. Well, regardless, whatever. Things always work out, whether we want to blow up our life or not, Part of it is just kind of sifting through. Again, I keep hearing being honest. That's what I keep hearing. Things are quiet this week. Oh, I love this. On the threshold. So it's like, I feel like Spirit, what I'm seeing, overarching energy, Spirit's giving you space. Spirit's giving you space to work out some of these emotions, work out some of the difficulties that you're coming into. It can even be real people, real time, real situations that you have to deal with at the beginning of the week that are, again, kind of perpetuating this, I'm never gonna, or it's never gonna happen, that lack of potential. But it seems like that. Again, surface tension. It seems like that on the surface. And I feel like that's part of where this disconnection is coming into play. Animus is the divine feminine energy. When it comes to calling in our abundance, that's like how feminine energy works. It's more of a magnet. It's about receiving, right? Where masculine energy is action, pushing forward. It's that Mars I was talking about, making things happen. The divine feminine is all about like situating yourself in the best appropriate way to receive something, right? Cultivating the ideal environment. That's what I want to say. And that is why, like, some of this BS has to get out of the way. Some of the stuff that's challenging you. Some of the stuff that it's been coming up a lot, it's just not true, or anytime we do something new, we have to rewire our brain, our thought process. Because if we don't, then we're staying stuck. And that's exactly what this is talking about. I'm hearing like belief in yourself. Yeah, it might feel a little bit like Bambi energy, wobbly legs. You're not really sure-footed right in this moment. But again, that doesn't mean that that's the reality of the whole. It just means that you need to get your feet a little wet. And I think trust how far you've come. It's a challenge for you this week, especially as it relates to your abundance. I would say spend some time acknowledging how far you've come. There's a lot of, Deborah, sorry. I just remembered why this is coming out as well as legit. We do have a full moon this week. We have a full moon on the 4th, depending on where you're located, December 4th. It's in Gemini. Gemini has that nature of bringing out duality. And we all know full moons can be very emotionally provoking. And it's, here's the thing. You're taking your time, or maybe you feel like you're forced to take your time. Maybe you feel like things are moving slower. I'm hearing like defining what's going on around you with people, with situations, as the measure of your worth or how far you've come. Give yourself a little bit more credit, because the places where you're not seeing these opportunities come in, or people aren't changing, or it's the same BS over and over and over again, it's like I said, it's not as much about you. And that's where I feel like that's another mantra that might be really beneficial for you this week. I'm not saying don't be self-reflective. I think that's important always. I think that's part of actually what is being triggered in your emotions this week. And like I said, you're being given space to look at those honestly. And if you do, it puts you on the threshold, right? The doorstep of what is opening up for you. I think a lot of this stuff is hard to see. And again, emotions, water, energy, it just clouds things, unfortunately. It does that, like, it's really hard to see things clearly. And Neptune is also in retrograde in Pisces. It does go direct this week, but sometimes I feel like, it's right before it goes direct. It's kind of like getting in those last little lessons, whatever, however you want to understand it. Okay, let's look at this tower for you. I'm going to clarify this tower. Someone is making something really difficult. Someone is turning their back on something. Yeah, they're closing something off. And I think it puts you in a bad spot. Again, like, this is something that is going to challenge you. Maybe it's just going to challenge, like, whether or not you have the ability to follow through. Like, if this is a partner, it doesn't have to be love, but like, business, or, you were collaborating with someone or whatever, and they're kind of like, I get this energy of like pulling the rug out from underneath you. And I see you questioning, again, whether or not you can keep going. This person really wasn't on board to begin with. I think it is a little bit shocking. That's why, again, this moon energy is coming up. Also, I just want to highlight, remember that, like, things happen for a reason, right? Like, sometimes it's spirit saving us. It's spirit protecting us from someone or something that might have been a bad investment, And like I said, it looks like whatever you're dealing with is on the fence anyway. And whatever they're selling themselves, like, they might be, like, this is a lot of saying one thing to your face and then actually feeling a different thing. Being really on the defensive. 9 of Wands is just someone who's been through it, and it's almost like they have no tolerance for anything, Sometimes that can be good. Other times it can destroy relationships. And it looks like, I don't know, someone's looking at you like you're just not getting it. I think this, again, goes into where that worth is being challenged. They communicated something to you that I feel like it was an indirect communication that they expected you to kind of understand what it was. They're not understanding why you don't. So someone is challenging you this week, and it's in a way, like I said, it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel comfortable at all. Someone who needs to prove a point. Yeah, and you're in this temperance energy. Temperance is all about, like, well, it is ruled by Sagittarius, right? I also feel like temperance really highlights where disconnect comes into play. So if someone's having a really hard time with something, and we know it's almost like not worth it to engage, because whatever this is, they are kind of focused either on a fight, or even if it's not intentionally like, I'm trying to make this hard for you, there definitely is that component where they're not thinking about you. Or if they are, it does kind of have a shady, I put it back in the deck. That 7 of Swords energy, like kind of doing something shady, or it's not a direct, clear conversation. So there is some misunderstandings. Yeah. So you'll hear from this person this week. I think this is going to be the beginning, and that's kind of why Spirit's giving you some extra space to feel your feels, navigate some of these emotions. Again, like midweek in the astrology, we're seeing some surface tension. But like I said, there's a lot of good things going on. And so I don't want to be overly redundant, but what I am seeing is that if you brave the storm it's gonna get a little bit better. And we see that with both the sun and the moon are tensely aspected to Jupiter, but Jupiter's positively aspected to Saturn. So that basically means that like our ego, our emotions might not like whatever this person says or does. It might come with some harsh words or things that really do put you down. I think I've said that like a bunch of times. But if you're able to kind of step back and give yourself that space and think through the reality of it, it's going to highlight that silver lining, right? Like why this is happening. I think this even came up in our daily energy today. Just like we're making some decisions this week about where we want to invest our time and our energy. And the clearer we can get about what's good and what's not, the more fluid things are going to navigate in this Sagittarius season. Because honestly, overall month, you know, it's not like the cleanest. It's not like nothing's going to happen. But it's been a little quieter than what we've been going through in the past. And like I said, Sagittarian energy has that like level of abundance. We're in the holiday season, good food, friends, parties, all that stuff, right? So there is this air of just enjoyment and celebration. Where we're going to have to watch is as the month progresses. Like I feel like this is the beginning of something. I don't know that this person is completely done and over with. They're saying that to you this week with the World card. They're like, I don't really care anymore about what parts of this made me feel good or made me want to stick around or whatever. Like they're just putting that to the wayside. They're putting their own stuff first. It looks like they think they're making a decision that's like best for everybody involved. I don't know that you necessarily agree with that, but I think it's also because of how they go about it, right? Someone might not be, like I said, it's not like they're coming to you. This doesn't feel like an equal conversation. Maybe you're not getting it. There's definitely a disconnect. There's definitely like a difference of opinion. You're coming in as the Knight of Pentacles, which means you are moving slow. And this person's coming in as the King of Wands. So their energy is incredibly different. Your energy is cautious. You want to take your time. This person's like, grab the bull by the horns and we'll figure out the rest later. But that kind of goes back to that downside of Mars I was talking about. That can get us into some trouble. And perhaps this is just like a difference of opinion that forces you and this person's situation in different directions, right? Like it's just, okay, well, agree to disagree, or maybe it's not a good fit, or maybe we do need to go our own ways, or whatever that may be. I feel like there's information being revealed that's more beneficial. Like I said, in regards to your abundance and what you're drawing in, what you're trying to bring in success around, it's saying like use it as your information. Use it as that tool to really kind of like push out the hard stuff that stinks, that smells. I pulled sulfur. I'm going to read out of the book. I love the book. Very poetic. Materia Prima. This is by UC. It's one of my favorite tarot collections, if you want to look them up. All right. Let's look. But yeah, like I heard like pushing out the stink. That's what I heard. And someone might not see it that way. They might not have the same vision as you. And I think that that's kind of where Earth energy can be a little bit more practical, responsible. Fire energy is just like on to the next thing. Both have their credits and deficits, right? I'm not saying one's bad or the other, you know. But like I said, we're continually told in the astrology, Mars, the way it's aspected, the retrogrades, that like we need to slow down. And to me, it looks like your energy is wise. It might keep you stuck in some of this emotion a little bit. That could also just be because there's back and forth, or someone's not budging is what I'm hearing. And so it's going to bring up stuff, unexpected feelings, emotions that do need to be addressed. Sulfur says, regarded with mistrust for good reason. Sulfur is an earthly, all too earthy, spirit with a sickly alchemic aura. Coarse and not the least bit nostalgic, she is a progressive entity. At her most inventive, she is brilliant, organic collaborator, always in highest demand, working her particular medicine into a very skin of the world. But in the wrong environment, with weak and greedy partners, she is thoughtlessly destructive, turning her medicine into venom that robs from the wind and rain all its wealth and comfort, leaving a barren path of illness and misery in her wake. A combination of restraint, respect, and understanding is needed to stand eye to eye with this powerful sorceress to create a lasting and beneficial relationship for all. It symbolizes diva, temperamental, changeable, passionate, headstrong. And that's definitely like such a beautiful embodiment of whomever, whatever this King of Wands energy is that you're dealing with. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It's the nature of fire energy, right? But this is what this time period of Pluto moving into Aquarius, of all this change, transformation, is trying to teach us. Depending on our environment, depending on who and what we're surrounding with, is really going to dictate our output and our level, our measure of success. Not because you necessarily need other people to function, to thrive. So much of it is reliant on self, but at the same time, it's way easier to be successful when you have supportive people. Not everyone has that like intense drive and determination to be powerful, money, whatever, power, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? But when you have people around you that support you, that nourish you, that like, you know, celebrate you, it makes it easier to find courage, to find inspiration, to do the next thing, or know that if it doesn't all work out, you still have people who have your back, right? And I feel like that's where this readjustment's coming into play. It's saying to disconnect. You know, there's a reason this is all happening. There's a reason emotions are being triggered. It's actually a good thing for you because it's going to give you the space to kind of process through and really acknowledge what is truth, what is real, what is actually your reality. And then it will move you in the proper direction forward. Just trust yourself, right? Like really remember your power this week. Remember you have the ability to choose. Remember to be mindful of your environment, where you're investing time, energy, etc. You know, who's making things stinky and who's not. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry, my voice. Thank you so much for your time, energy always. I super appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Definitely drop comments below if you did. I'd love to hear. Just say, hey, share in a little love, little TLC. I so appreciate all the love, all the support to the channel. Just know it blesses my heart, and I am sending that love and support back to you, especially in your abundance. Thank you for tuning in. See ya.